On how to use Filmora to create a stop motion video. So the first thing you're going to need to do is go to Filmora and download this software. It's free, and once you've got it downloaded and installed, click on it to open. Now before you are ready to create your stop motion, you're going to have taken a series of photographs, and these photographs will be very similar with slight changes in every photo, and I'll give you an example of that. So if I go over here, you'll see, if you look at all these photos, you can see how they change just a little bit. This particular series of photos shows one of the drawers in a toolbox, and then as we go through the images, the tools are added back in. And there's about 20 photos in there. When you open Filmora, one thing to note is you presented with a few options here. So this is the ratio of a 16:9, which is pretty standard. Your computer screen is probably 16:9. That means for every 16 pixels wide, it's 9 pixels high. And you can see that it changes. 1:1 is a square, which is an odd ratio. If and when you're taking your photos, I suggest, if you can, set your camera on your phone to take the same ratio as what you're going to be using in Filmora. So I know on my phone I set it to 16:9, so I want to create my project with that ratio. So I click on New Project, and here's my workspace. So this is my file search. This will show me my files where I can preview them here. And this is my preview screen, and this is what's called a timeline down here. This is my video track. This is my audio track. You can see there's that would signify the audio track, video track, and this is what's called my playhead right up here. So this, I can scrub my playhead. And what I'm going to do, the first thing that you need to do is you need to import media. So let's do that. You come up here to File, Import Media, and I'm going to import a folder. I'm going to import that whole folder of photos I showed you previously. So I know that's in my downloads. Come down here. And I can open that. It'll import all the photos into here. And now what I can do, you can see that they're all selected. And I can change the view of how that looks. I can group. I can change it to a view. I can have a list view like that. I can have a small thumbnail view. It doesn't really matter. These are all selected. You can see they've got the green circle around them. I'm going to drag them into my timeline. Very easy to do. So these come down here into my timeline. Notice I can't put them in the video timeline, obviously. So there they go. And currently, if I want to zoom out so I can see all the images or the pictures, I can do this. I can go like that, and you can see now they haven't shortened their duration of each frame. And that's an important thing to note, is that when you're creating a video is just a series of still images played in rapid succession. And each one of those pictures is called a frame. And a standard frame rate is 30 frames per second. So that means every second, 30 different still images will be flashed in front of you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that right now, each one of these images, if I just select the one and I go up here, I'll be able to check out the duration by going here. The duration is it's 5 seconds. So 1 second, because it's 30 frames per second, 1 second is 30 frames. I like to have each one of these pictures have a duration of about 5 frames, not 5 seconds. So you can scrub that down to there we go. That's 5 frames. So each one of these frames will be 5 seconds. You can see if I click OK, it shortened that first one down. What I'll do is select all of them, and now I can change the duration of all of them at the same time. And it's probably faster if I just go like this. There we go, and bam. Now, it looks like I've only got one frame there, but again, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see that all the frames are still there. If I want to play, I can just come up here and press play. And you can see, there you go. That's all the frames that I had. So that means that you need 30 pictures for a film that will only last 1 second. But because we're making them last 5 frames, 30 frames per second divided by 5 frames means I actually only need 6 pictures to last 1 second. Now my film's okay, and I've managed to create a sequence. A sequence is where you've put together a bunch of still frames, but it's going to be better if I add a title. So if I come up here to title, and I go down to included, and I go to titles, I'm going to choose any one of these titles. Doesn't matter, there's lots of them. Look at all these different ones I'm going to choose from. So practice with them. I'm just going to drag this one down. It's the same as importing media. You'll notice that my title is actually longer than my whole film. So if I want to move all these so that my title doesn't preclude my whole production here, I'm going to go something like this, and then notice when I move my cursor right up here, I can actually shorten the length of the title. And now, if I want to alter my title, I double click it. And you can see in here is where I type in and I can do a bunch of things here. If I go to advanced, I can actually give this an outline, which is kind of fun. So I'll go to customize, and I can go text border, and there we go. Now I've got a pink border on that. I click OK. I can have it fade in and out. I can change the opacity if I want. That's just the opacity of the text. But here, what I can do is I can even change the look of the lettering if I wanted to. I'm not really too keen on that, so what I'll do is I'm going to go with OK. And now you can see when I click play, there's that slight overlap right there. And if I wanted to, I can actually have this fade out. That's pretty easy to do. If I go to transitions up here, and I can go to fade. So I can drag that down here, and I can change the length of that fade too. So I can go like this, and you can see if I hit play, did you see how it faded out there? So that works for me. One thing I am kind of missing is I don't have any video or audio in here. Let me show you how to get some audio. Audio is really easy to get. If I go up here and I go to Free Music Archive, I can download free music. This is music that you haven't heard of. It's royalty-free music. So what I'll go is I'll go to Search FMA, or I'll go to a genre. I'm going to go to electronic, and if I want to listen to any one of these songs, and believe me, there's all these different genres with subgenres within the genre. I'm going to try this out. Let's see what this sounds like. Sounds good to me. So this will allow me to download it. It'll show me the larger track. If I go like this, now I can see that here. If I want to download this, it's kind of interesting. There's multiple different ways on different computers. On this one, if I right click, let's say download video is downloaded. And now if I go back to Filmora, I can actually just drag that right down into here, and here is that song, and you'll be able to hear it in here. Now I'm going to want to have that fade out, which is I can make that happen. So how do I do that? If I right click down here, I can have a fade out. So I'm going to have a fade out. There we go. And I'll click OK. And that's going to be right at the end that it'll fade out. You'll see. So I actually want to fade out before then. So let's make this look like this. And I'll go here. I may even shorten this song a little bit. I can always scrub along here, move along. It's a long song. So you can see how it fades out there. That's my fader. And I can just move that all the way over. I can make this. There we go. It's a long song. I could actually even shorten this song quite a bit to begin with. So what I'll do is I can cut it by just dragging that. So I just need to move my playhead to where I want it. And I'm right about here. And now I can cut it. So that's cut it into two spots. Now if I select this one, I can delete it. It's gone. So I move my playhead to where I want to cut it, and I use the scissor symbol. And now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here. And now I can bring in that fade that I want. So if I double click, now I can bring the fade out in. You'll see that that should, there we go. I can slide this along, and you'll hear, when I come back here, it'll fade the music out. So there we go. That sounds okay to me. And what I can do, I'm done with this project now. What I need to do is I need to go to File, Save. First thing, I should always save my file because I need to do that. So I'm going to call it Sample. And it's going to save to the desktop. I've created a new folder called Filmora Projects. I'm going to save that here. But I don't want you to hand in a Filmora project. I can't open it. So what you need to do is you need to export it. It's really simple to do this. Now, you will have created an account when you downloaded Filmora. So if I click Continue Use here, I want you to click on MP4, that's a video format, and you're going to call it whatever you want to. I'm going to call this Sample. And save to Filmora Output. I can actually choose somewhere else. Like I could choose that folder on the desktop if I wanted. And I can drag that in after to where it was before. So I can go to others too. I can like even, if I click on that, I can go to Desktop, Filmora Projects, and I can save in there. So I'm going to open that. And now I'm ready to export it. Boom. That is what you'll be handing in. You'll be handing in that sample project. Now it's going to have this, what's called a watermark on it. And a watermark says that you're using the trial version of this software, which is just fine. And if you need any help with this, don't be afraid to contact me.